This video is a meditative deep dive. It's a recording from my weekly Zoom meetups with deep divers, where I hold space, share some insight and wisdom, and then we hang out and explore what's going on in our human lives. Ultimately, the invitation, as always, is to open up, fear less, and love more. Just know that this starts out a little bit slow, and then after we get our bearings, we drop into some pretty profound insight and wisdom about living life beyond self-judgment. Enjoy. Welcome. Let's just settle in here. My goodness, my goodness, my goodness. I love that I can just show up here with you and not know what to say. There's this beautiful freedom where I don't need to chase after the thoughts that run by. I don't need to find a sentence to cling on to figure out the right topic. And I love that as I look in the mind about what I might talk about, all I hear is just noise. And no matter what comes up in the mind, there's nothing as sweet as the freedom that says, I don't have to say anything. It's like it's just okay to be. And there is something on my heart that I've been pondering a bit this week, but even as I've pondered it, the immensity of it is just so beyond my mind's ability to communicate. And so I want to hold space for that and just see what might come out. And naturally, this immensity is the contrast between the stories we tell about life, the stories we tell about ourselves, the stories we tell about our day-to-day, in comparison to, let's just say, the totality of what life is doing. In everything. And what I mean by that is, I have these moments where I'm going about my day, just thinking. And then you look up and you see the immensity of this mountain. and you say, oh my God, look at that. Or it's a sunset, or it's a bird song. Whatever it is, it's like you're just captured by the reality of this immense thing we call life. And then there is that life that I'm not even seeing, whether it's the smallest thing or the largest thing. And my goodness, how small is the smallest thing and how large is the largest thing? And to say that there's 10,000 pieces to it all just doesn't do it justice. And I find myself fascinated that in the immensity of all that is going on, somehow there is this balance. A balance that allows for this moment to be this moment. And I wonder if you find that as wild as I do. All the intricate details that maintain the weather pattern, the temperature, the avoidance of colliding with asteroids, whatever it might be. My God, there's so much happening. And then I ask myself in all of that, well, what's really happening here? What is this? Because again, in contrast to all the little stories I tell, right? What's really going on here? And of course, the impossibility, but playful opportunity is to put words to this. And what I see is that in this expression of what we call life, is that life is simply waking up to itself. Life is simply experiencing itself in 10,000 different ways. Like, do you understand that the way that you experience life will never be repeated? That through the lens of your heart and eyes is an experience that's just completely unique to you. And not only among the 7 or 8 billion people alive today, but of all humans, even of all creatures. And very clearly, especially if you're in this room, it's quite obvious to you that you've been on a journey waking up to more love. You've been on a journey of seeing life more clearly, which is simply life waking up to life from behind your eyes. And I assume it's the same for you, that when you take into account your entire journey, it's like, oh, this has been the point. The point being to see a depth and beauty to what life really is. And there's a great comfort in that, at least for me. There's a great comfort in that simplicity within what could be perceived as a bunch of chaos. That I am on a very simple journey of the consciousness in what I am, seeing a deeper and deeper depth to what's true. And I don't need to figure out all the intricate details of it. I don't even need to understand how or why. Because in that search, I mean, my God, that's unending. You know, and this also brings up a great point. And maybe we can call it playfully the end of seeking. Where it's like if you see the point in one thing, you see the point in everything. Right? So it's not like I have to figure out 10,000 different points. Life has already figured it out. Life is what maintains the balance. And such a freedom in recognizing this, that in realizing I don't need to figure it all out, the invitation is to just surrender to it. Life knows what it's doing. If everything and everyone is on this journey of life waking up to itself, then this is happening within me as well. And also what I recognize, and this might be helpful, is that when I look at my own, let's just call it evolution of consciousness, it's not happening by my own doing. And I invite you to see that for yourself. That to whatever degree of awareness you have, you didn't make that happen. Because, of course, for you to make that happen, you would have had to make everything happen. Do you see this? Sure, I could tell a story about how I made it happen, but that's very quickly seen through. Right? And it's funny too, because as I talk about these things and I find clarity in these things, people come to me and assume I know the secret to how to do it. As if I did it. And there's a great comedy in that. The question of how do I do it? It's to see that you can't do it. And then you surrender to it. And for me, that's the most beautiful thing, because how much do we exhaust ourselves? in trying to do it. It's as silly as asking the question, how do I make life love me? How do I be worthy? You see all of these assumptions. And all I hear is a whisper that says, my dear, relax. I've got you. You see, you're not here to go on somebody else's journey. You're not here to wake up like someone else. You're here to have your journey. And as I say these things, I see this invitation into a deep intimacy between you and life, between you and God. Where your heart opens up to the reality that you're not nearly as alone as you might think you are. I was talking with a friend today, and she was kind of opening her heart and just kind of confessing how scared she is to get it wrong, to do the wrong thing, to make the wrong decision. And it was the sweetest thing because I just see the assumption that somehow it could go wrong. And as she's expressing this fear, of course, within her is this sort of tension and tightness, where she's not available to feel into what's true. What's here? What's now? And as we sat with it for a little bit, of course, the conclusion was, I'm just scared. And I find this to be one of those insights that is not only mind-blowing, but heart-opening, and that is, in a manner of speaking, the more afraid you are to do the wrong thing, the more likely it is you'll do the wrong thing. Because you see, there's an agitation there. It's like you're swimming upstream. It's like you see yourself as disconnected from the whole thing, as if you have to do this on your own. And just like with the nature of learning, if you don't allow yourself to have the experience of a mistake, you will not learn. So silly it would be to see a mistake as wrong. And in the full embrace of a mistake, There's so much to see. There's so much to learn. Which, of course, points back to life waking up from behind your eyes. In this simple, we can even call it a worldly lesson, speaks to the spiritual lesson as well. You're not here to get this spiritual thing right. You're here to explore, to learn. There's no impending judgment waiting around the corner. Do you see that? Do you see that? And that's so fascinating. The only judgment you're going to encounter is the judgment you place on yourself. Right? Like, even if it appears that somebody else judges you, you're the one that has to believe that, which would be you judging you. And do you see that this is the root of the fear? In this fear of making mistakes, we're fearing future judgment. I invite you to see the comedy in that. Imagine if God judged the insects. If God judged the trees falling over. How silly. Maybe that's the point of this little ramble. If only for a moment, just set aside the silly judgment, because, that's at the source of so many difficulties we have, whether for ourselves or others. And we could spend some time just breaking it down and making it more obvious of how non-real it is, but it's such a beautiful space to find yourself in, where we take a break from judgment. Because at the heart of that realization is a truth that says, I really don't know. And it's absolutely absurd to think that I do know what should or should not be happening in order for life to maintain the balance that is life. Are you kidding me? And if I want to see this in a very loud and obvious way, I just look at any judgment I have towards other people. The more I look at it, the more absurd it is. The more impossible it is. And all I see are other humans traveling their journey, just as I am, with the same confusions that I have, with the same doors of discovery that I've walked through. My goodness.